Greetings, Twin Flame Lover. Hello, it's Dr. Amanda Noelle here on beautiful Mother Nature's breast, and I wanted to talk about Twin Flame Sacred Sexuality, or sacred sexuality for beloveds who plan on spending an eternity or at least this lifetime together. And this is for those of you who are looking for a monogamous partnership, or those of you who may not know the future and you may want to explore with multiple lovers in some form of polyamory, or perhaps you are a committed partnership that wants to flirt with the idea of looking at other people. Whatever it is, I'm here to talk about twin flame love in the form of a committed primary partnership. So the very deepest thing I want to impart on you today is that sacred sexuality starts before the exchange with your twin flame. And this is not spoken about enough. We come from a culture that has had a lot of pornography, a lot of patriarchy, a lot of persecution against the divine feminine. And this has harmed both men and women. In a recent report, we found out that there's a huge rise, and I can't remember the statistics, in young men who grow up watching porn and feeding off to porn, and they end up having a very hard time having an erection in front of their sexual partner. So there's this rise of young men that are having basically porn onset erectile dysfunction. And this is because of the psychology, and then it gets into the physical world. It gets really stuck in their bodies, and they get a disconnect from their chakras. Like, they look, wow, you're a beautiful woman. Wow, I have great feelings in my heart, but I can't get my dick up. I cannot get my body to cooperate with what my mind wants, just like that airplane won't cooperate with me. So what I wanted to share in my own personal love life is that I had a self-love discovery as a pretty young girl, and it's kind of embarrassing to talk about this on YouTube, so I'm still kind of coming out of my sexual shell, but I feel like if we don't talk about these things, we're going to be stuck in this polarized porn, satanic type of sexual energy rape culture. And when we actually unveil our true desires and our shame-free sexuality, then we're able to heal and bring this to the light. They say that shame cannot exist in the light. So I'm sharing that I used to self-pleasure or masturbate. I really don't like that word. Never did. And I was very ashamed about it, and back then I never would have shared this. Even now it's like, I self-pleasure. And I talk about this and I teach this, but I still have layers of shame. So if you're with me, maybe you have some shame as well. Maybe it's not regarding your sexuality, maybe it's regarding your bank account, or maybe it's regarding your body image, or you feel not educated, or maybe your family is embarrassing. So shame is really intense to deal with. And when we learn to create a safe space for our own sexuality, that is something that is foundational. We need to have a self-pleasuring practice. We need to create that kind of like little egg, that safe space in our life that's just for us. The problem is that when we have that space, say you learn how to touch yourself at age 11 or so, like I did. I was like, wow, this is so cool, I'm having orgasms. To connect that with another, that is a whole other dance. And there are so many of us who get really frustrated when it's like, well, you should know what my body wants. I know what my body wants. Or, hey, your body's really complicated and I think it should work like this. How does your energy run? Meeting your twin flame, meeting your beloved, or meeting anybody that's not your body can create a whole nother layer. And that's where the beauty of twin flame union comes in. In sacred sexuality, we need to have that solid foundation within ourselves first. And then we need to let our beloved into that. And it can be very vulnerable. It can be very humbling. It can be very embarrassing to say, hey, here's what I like. And maybe what you like is not what you think you're supposed to like. Maybe you like some kink, or maybe you like Maybe you've been watching porn and you're really embarrassed to share that world with somebody that you love. So most of my clients, when they're in their new relationship, it can be really exciting to bring someone into their sexual world. And at the same time, it can be the most frightening thing. And so a lot of them end up revealing only a small portion of who they are. And they end up revealing their best side, or what they think is their best side. But I'm going to share why I think it's so important to not do that. Hello, airplane. So when we're in sacred sexual union, it's not about the porn thing. It's not about pretending to be Bobby or Ken. It's about revealing our sacred essence, revealing all sides of ourselves, including our shadow, including our cellulite, including our queefs and our smells and our tears and our traumas and our joys, all of the rainbow of who we are. And sometimes our partner isn't able to hold it. And sometimes they are. Sometimes they're able to hold a part of it. And the key to allowing them to hold all of it is for us to put the responsibility on ourselves for holding it. At the same time, because twin flame energy is polarity, so I'm going to contradict myself, when we hold it for ourselves, it's actually important. Say if you've had a trauma, maybe sexual trauma, or maybe you had something really small. Like my first sexual experience was not traumatic, but it was kind of like awkward and scary. And at some point in that encounter, I probably shut down. A certain part of my body, part of my yoni shut down. I was editing how I thought I should be. And even though I went into the future, into my 20s and 30s, and thought I had gotten over it, it wasn't until I reunited online with my first lover, my first boyfriend, and realized, oh my gosh, I've been kind of using my first experience and interacting like a high school girl in my relationship now with my twin flame. Isn't that odd? Now that I've had this healing on it, I could bring that experience to my twin flame, talk to him about it, and do the deep inner healing work on my own. And it did help actually to go back to my high school self and actually talk to my ex-boyfriend 20 years later and say, hey, you broke my heart. You had sex with me and left me, and I hope that doesn't happen to you, or to your daughter actually, because I saw you had a daughter. And I was like, I really hope that she has a much better experience becoming a woman than I did, because I loved you so much and you left. That was my first experience. And he was like, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to hurt you. I would never do that now. I never meant to do that back then. I was a teenager, and I'm definitely gonna pass that on to my daughter to give her the best self-esteem. And it made me feel so good. I was like, thank you. I'm so happy for her and happy for you. And it just sealed that chapter. So maybe that's something you want to do, is go back to one of your exes. That's part of sacred sexuality, is to heal everything. And maybe for you, you don't need that. Maybe you could write them a letter. Maybe you can talk to your current lover and replay the scene that was intense for you, or have someone work with a therapist to heal things out. So in summary, it's so important to heal yourself and to have a sacred sexual practice, masturbation and self-love and self-pleasuring, and know yourself sexually, and then learn how to integrate that with a partner. And that can be a lifelong process of healing and interacting and communicating and using tools like nonviolent communication, authentic relating, circling, and many different tools that facilitate communication and relating. Sacred sexuality is more than sex, and it's more than sacred prayer. It's both, and it's everything in between, including all of the chakras. The sacral chakra, which encompasses emotions. The heart chakra, which includes feeling really connected with your partner and being in that place of being 100% vulnerable and knowing that he or she won't leave you. Being in that communication space in the throat, and being in your power in the third chakra, and being in your psychic vision when you're making love to your partner, and afterwards. Seeing and knowing the truth. Sometimes I've had sexual experiences where my partner's face looks like I'm on LSD, and I've never done LSD. And it looks like, I'm in some other world. So that's what sacred sexuality is. It's exploring the universe through you. And it's sometimes very intense, and sometimes very beautiful, sometimes very light. It's everything. So I would love to hear what you think sacred sexuality is, what your definition might be, and to share it in the comments below. Go ahead and subscribe. This is one of my newer explorations in twin flame love, of really coming out of my closet and talking vulnerably about twin flame sex. I feel like it's a really important conversation that has to come out to the surface. The Catholic Church and Christianity and different religions have kind of like, oops, let's just put it over there, it's not sacred. But it feels like if we don't include this, we're gonna go back into, sexual extremes and the rape culture, which is just so not cool anymore, as we know. And we're coming out of our closets with the Me Too movement of like, hell no, I'm gonna be a new, more empowered woman and partner and lover, and start to express my feelings in their beauty and ugliness and shame and joy. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I come out with videos pretty much every week, sometimes a couple times a week. And also click the like button if you got something out of this. Namaste, namasko.